Alright guys, so I just got the Super Hawk off my workbench, and so now it's time to work on another V-twin. This one is a 2007 Suzuki SV650, and this bike has got an issue. I think it's got a bad motor, and I'm not going to rebuild this one. I actually bought a parts bike that has had all the plastics and stuff stripped off but has a good motor. So I'm probably just going to do a motor swap for now, then maybe later on tear this motor down and see what the problem is with it. But I'll let you hear it, which is odd because this thing usually starts right up, no issues. Let me see here. I'm going to have to move my camera around here. Put the headlight right on you. Okay, as you can see, it starts right up and runs good, but has this terrible knock. I have read where the your clutch basket can come loose and cause this problem, but this bike starts up so easy and runs so good when it's running, but has this terrible knock going through it. And I think it might be in the clutch basket if we get lucky. If not, it's probably a rod. I'm going to drain the oil here in a minute, and we're going to pull off this side cover and look at that first and see if maybe that clutch basket is loose, because it does kind of sound like the noise is over here, but if you're on the other side of the bike, it sounds like the noise is coming from the top of the front cylinder. So I'm going to drain the oil out of this and see what the oil looks like. All right, so we may have found the problem before getting into anything. It may be the rod. Here's how much oil is in this bike. I don't know if you can see this. It looks like not even a quart came out, maybe about a quart. There was a couple little bits of metal on the drain plug, but not terrible. So, yeah, I think it's probably a rod knock. But let's go ahead and take this side cover off anyhow. Let me get rid of this oil so I can use this pan as a catch pan for the antifreeze. Okay, to put this in perspective, this is a gallon. There's 4 quarts in a gallon. This motor is supposed to hold, what is it, 2.4 quarts, I believe it is. Yeah, that's all that was in it. So, like I said, it's maybe a quart, if that. So, it's a shame. Alright guys, I took the cover off just to check it. I kind of wanted to show you, I've seen some people that this whole clutch basket will loosen up and it'll give you a knocking noise. This one's obviously knocking because there was no oil in it, and or not enough oil in it. So the motor is going to come out anyhow. So I had to drain the fluids and everything anyhow, so it doesn't really matter. So we're going to go ahead and start pulling this motor, and yeah, fun stuff. Pulling another motor. Gotta love it. Alright, first thing I did was I went ahead and took the air box off after I'd taken the fuel tank off. Disconnect these 3 connectors right here. I think I'm going to go ahead and just take this top or the bottom off the air box. I loosened that bolt or that screw there. I'm going to go ahead and pop these hoses off over here on the side and one over here, and see if we can at least get the air box out of the way. And I had seen somebody else take the throttle bodies off and just kind of strap them to the side instead of taking all the accelerator cables and everything off. So I think I might try that and see how that works. And yeah, we'll just start kind of working our way from the top to the bottom. I'm waiting for a manual to come in on this bike. I did order one, so I like to have the manual and go through everything on it. This bike I might actually keep for a while. It's the plan anyhow. So I like the little 650. I like the smaller. Let me go ahead and pull those off. I kind of wanted to record where all these connectors go, so I have them for future reference as well if I forget. And so we've got another connector down here. Some of these connectors, man, are tough to get off. So I'll work on these connectors and then let you know what else I do here. All right, what I did next was I disconnected the horn over here, disconnected the fan, pulled the radiator. I don't know if I showed you, I just have the throttle bodies kind of tied up on a bungee cord up there, and hopefully they'll be okay up there and out of the way. But I did take the radiator off, get that out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and probably remove the exhaust next and see if we can, I don't know if I can get to those back bolts for the rear part of the exhaust, but we'll see if we can at least get the front off and work our way back there. I know the exhaust is a pain on this bike. It is on all V-twins, but we'll see what we can do. Okay, a couple things real quick. The exhaust has a couple, I don't know if you can see under here, there's one bolt here holding part of the exhaust on, and there's another one on the other side. I took those off and separated the one pipe, so there's a little bit of a pipe still coming out of the motor off the back of the head, and that was how I took the exhaust off. I left that little pipe on, and so I went ahead and took the shifter off, disconnected the shifter. Look at that nice shifter that somebody custom made in there. But then I also took the two bolts off here on the clutch. I was going to show you this, that that's how it goes on. It has the little spring that hangs down, and I thought that this comes apart, and they said to be careful with it. So I'm probably gonna check this out a little closer. I'm going to disconnect the cable here and pull the clutch cable up so it's out of the way. All right, the next thing I did, I got the clutch cable up here out of the way. I used my electric impact and took this bolt off. It's a 32 millimeter socket that takes that off. Make sure you get this little star washer thing here behind it. It's very important. Keep those two. And there's so much slack in this chain. I might be able to slide this off without having to loosen up the chain anymore. Maybe not. Maybe. Let's see if I can get that sprocket out of there. Yeah, there we go. Sprocket's out of the way. So now we can move the chain up there. Well, I'll have to do this with two hands, but we'll try to get the chain out of the way. And I just put a zip tie around this piece of the clutch cable there, and we're gonna see if we can get this chain off and then take a quick look over things and see if we're about ready to drop this motor. I'm debating on taking the oil cooler off the front. I think I might go ahead and do that just so it doesn't get damaged, because I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to tear this motor apart. So yeah, I'm going to look over, see what else needs to come off, and see if we can start breaking things loose and get this motor ready to come off of here. Okay, so I went ahead and took the oil cooler out. Some oil came out. Oh my goodness, this oil smells so bad. It's so burnt. Also, there's a mount back up under here. I loosened the bolt on it. It's some kind of, like, I don't want to say torsion mount or something, but so I guess the motor is going to have to slide to the right side to come off of that. And then also, one thing you don't want to forget over here is make sure you remove the ground cable that's right back here. I heard it's a little cable, but it will hold the motor up from falling. So, all right, so let's move on. Okay, as you can see, there's no motor here. I was able to pull the motor. I don't even know where I left off on what was disconnected, what was connected, but I had to pull, of course, the stator and all that, all the cables for that, all the, not cables, but wires for that, and get all that disconnected. It ran all the way up here next to the battery, so I had to disconnect it there, pull it down, and fish it out. So we got the motor out, and there's a lot of things that I should have probably written down where they go, what they connect to. I mean, I know this goes to the oil sending unit, plugs into that, and that's a little cover for it. But there's all these different connectors that I didn't realize were here until I started lowering the motor, and then I was like, oh yeah, of course, the regulator and everything, the wires for that. So maybe when I pull the other motor out of the other bike, I will try to be a little bit better of recording, and maybe we'll clip them in and add them in to this video, so it makes a little more sense. But unfortunately, I got to a point where I was just rolling and pulling things and getting it out and getting all the bolts out for the motor were kind of a pain on some of those. So I'll try to do better on the next, pulling the next motor. We'll add it in. All right, guys, so here's the donor bike. It's not pretty, but I just want the motor out of it. So I did test it, and it does run. And so, yeah, that's about it. The previous owner said he did a leak down test on it. He had bought the bike, and somebody had lost the title. They went and showed him the paperwork. They were going through DMV to get a new title, and then they just never replied back to him after that. So he had this bike for a while, and just decided to part it out. And so I'm got the rest of the carcass, and we're going to pull this motor out and hopefully have a running bike when we're done with this. So, all right, we'll get started here soon. Okay, guys, one thing you got to remember is there's two spacers. Like I said, I don't know if you can see on this side, sorry, but there's a spacer here that has an Allen bolt on it. I loosened that up, and there's another one. I know you're not going to be able to see this one down behind by the shock. So there's two of them that you have to loosen up to get those spacers out. And so yeah, I think now we're ready to start dropping the motor. I think I've got all the bolts broken loose and removed. I've already removed the lower mount down here, the lower bolt that ran through. So we're going to start removing some other bolts now. Okay, I got the motor out of the bike. A couple quick things I'll show you is here's the one spacer I was talking about that has to move over, and these are actually spacers right here that have to be adjusted out. What I did to get this one to adjust out, because I couldn't find anything, I hammered a 12 millimeter Torx in there, or Allen wrench, and I was able to get these at the top, that one and this lower one, adjusted by, where'd it go? Oh, this weird kind of adjustable wrench thing that I had laying around. I had this from an old job and just had it sitting around, and it actually fit on here. There's a little groove on here that it fit on perfectly to adjust those out. And This is the other mount that I was telling you about, that you really don't have to loosen it to get the motor out, but there is a spacer right here that has to go in on the other bike. So also on this one, when I was pulling the motor last time, it was kind of getting hung up on these wires right here. And so I thought those wires needed to become disconnected, and I disconnected them all. But I realized on this one that they didn't need to be disconnected. One thing I would have done differently, and I'm probably going to do before I put the motor in the other bike, is just remove this coil right here. Just move it up out of the way, because it was hanging up on the spark plug wires right here and how it sat in. So I'm probably going to take these two bolts out here and remove that coil, or just move it up out of the way until I get the motor in there so it's not hitting that. And then it's kind of tight back here on the swing arm with the part of the exhaust that I left on to get by it in the rear. So that's it. Motor's out. So thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And I really appreciate it. Comment something just to help the algorithms of YouTube, so some of my videos get seen by more people. But I appreciate it. Like I said, please like, subscribe, and we'll have more to come.